Hi, David. Here to do your reading that you requested. Hope you've been well and that you had a nice New Year and enjoyed the holiday season and all that. So I've already shuffled. Your significator is out. Prince of Swords is, of course, your significator being an Aquarius. And your question was, of course, what your strengths and challenges would be throughout this coming year, or rather, this this year that we're already in. Um, and you requested a Celtic cross reading. So what I'm going to do actually is something sort of like the Celtic cross, but a little bit different, just because the Celtic cross does not really adequately address the question that you asked and doesn't really suit the needs of that question. So what I'm going to do is still a cross format, but I'm going to base it off of the zodiac actually and the quadrants of the zodiac. It's just a technique that I've been using for others as well in terms of doing year evaluation readings. And basically, I've already shuffled, as I said. I'm going to lay out one cross first for your challenges in the different quadrants, and then I'm going to lay cards to represent the strengths that you will have, or the help you will have to be able to deal with those difficulties. Okay. Now, basically, to explain, I'm going to go in counterclockwise in a circle, and I'm going to use basically what the four cardinal signs represent as far as areas of one's life. So, for instance, this position on the left of your significator is going to represent Aries, which would be basically areas of yourself, your identity, your personality, whatever challenges and strengths you'll be able to deal with in that area. Your bottom set will be Cancer, and so your home life, your personal life, your emotional life, that sort of thing. On your right is going to be Libra, which represents your relations with other people, partnerships, friendships, communications, that sort of thing. And then up top is going to be your career and how other people see you. And then I think what I'm going to do is just lay a general advice card in the middle over your significator. So we're going to have 9 cards total by the time we're done. Okay. All right. So let's see what we've got here. So your challenges in each area are represented by, and I hope you can see, I know the glare is a little rough right now, but in your area of self, your primary problem is going to be the Seven of Cups, which indicates to me either an inability to get yourself moving in some way. I think that contrasts really harshly with Aries and the nature of Aries. Aries is all about getting stuff going and starting things. And I see you having a hard time getting yourself motivated this year. Uh, and I that problem is kind of echoed in the Emperor in your base. But but possibly also just a sense of kind of laziness and overdoing it in some realm of pleasure that you're going to go overboard with, and I think that's going to hinder you more than help you. Possibly, if it isn't, uh, either a dependence on some sort of pleasure. If it's not that, then it can also just be, daydreaming about your goals and who it is you want to be. I don't. I think in general, I think this year is going to be a little difficult in emotionally. Just it's going to be a bit of a rut. I see you as having difficulties getting pulling yourself out of the mud in some ways. Um, but the strength, I guess what I'll do is as I go, I'll draw the strengths to counteract those. Now, the strength that you're going to be able to draw upon to deal with that kind of lack of spark is the Princess of Discs. So perhaps you need to find something that you want to learn more about that is interesting to you. I think it indicates that now may be a time to return to studying something or just being diligent about learning something and maybe almost being a little humble about the whole thing and about your sense of self. I think the Princess of Discs is also a great contrast to Aries and the energy of Aries, but in a really good way. I think the Princess of Discs stresses to us the need for humility and the need for patience and the need for continual self growth and self evaluation. So I think that you being an inquisitive person and a pretty cerebral person, I think that, maybe it's time to try to tap into that aspect of yourself a little bit more so that instead of daydreaming about things, you're actually slowly taking the time to learn more about yourself. I think particularly about yourself. I think, considering that this area of your life is about yourself and your self development, I think the Princess of Discs is very indicative of doing some self growth and some self evaluation, and to do it very patiently and modestly, but diligently. I think if you just keep pushing forward with that very gently and allowing yourself to uh, grow more as an individual, that will help you overcome uh, whatever uh, whatever it is you're doing to compensate with the Seven of Cups. The Seven of Cups is almost like you are trying to compensate in some way for some either unhappiness that you have. And I do see some unhappiness in your career, particularly up top, but we'll get there. Um, and I think it's just telling you to dig your roots a little deeper and derive sustenance from personal growth. I hope that makes sense. The next quadrant is Cancer, and this is your personal life, your emotions, your family life, and the problem you're going to have is with the Emperor. I don't know if that indicates paternal problems, um, either issues surrounding your own father or fatherhood for yourself. I'm not sure what your situation is, but issues of fatherhood are going to surround you for this year. And I think that also does go back a little bit to what we were talking about before with, getting yourself going with something. I just see you in a bit of a rut, and that possibly comes from your own nature as the Prince of Swords. The Prince of Swords is a card that is known for sort of beating around the bush because he likes to just think about things and not necessarily do them. And I do sense that for you here. I think, and again, that's what the Princess of Discs is telling you to do. I think it's telling you to be a little bit less lofty and a little bit more practical and down to earth. Um, the Emperor, again, just um, issues of either, if it isn't fatherhood per se, in a literal family sense, then some sort of self control over your emotional center may be another issue here. Let's see what it says is your strength to overcome that. Ah, interesting. The strength that it has indicated for you here is the Nine of Swords. Now, either this is indicating that whatever difficulties you're having mentally in terms of anxiety and stress, that is going to either compound the problem and make it very difficult for you to act, or if we are taking it literally as a strength and as a help, then maybe your lack of control in that area of your life this year is going to actually generate some healthy anxiety, that whatever nervousness or anxiety you're going to feel because of that lack of control is healthy and is actually should act as a motivator to get you to reevaluate, as we were saying before with the Princess of Discs. I think so far the Princess of Discs uh, is quite what's the word I want? Um, Important, I guess, for lack of a better word, for this reading. I just think that she's sort of the focus thus far, and everything seems to be kind of going back to her. Um, because I do think that the Nine of Swords in this case doesn't have to be read as gloom and doom. I think it's suggesting that that whatever difficulty the Emperor is representing here in your personal life, um, I think that whatever anxiety that will generate for you this year, it's saying that you can use it in a productive way, that it doesn't have to be a stress that will pin you down and leave you incapacitated, that actually that this should be something to stir you into motion, and should almost be kind of a wake-up call, like your like your soul is telling you that something's not quite right, that you have to do something about it. And again, the Princess of Discs is kind of waving her hands around saying, listen to me to deal with whatever this is. Um, Now, in your Libra, in your interactions with others, your problem card is the Priestess, which is interesting. Now, either that can indicate to me that there will be people this year who will be withholding things from you, um, or I almost sense, I almost get this sense that you will be having problems. Uh, Yeah, expressing yourself clearly to people this year, that being open and upfront with others is going to be a challenge for you this year, and to sort of lay your cards on the table. I always see the Priestess, and I know you can sort of read it as the sun almost as well. That the two kind of have similar meanings, and they're supposed to. Um, But I always see the priestess as representing some sort of inner truth. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Um, and I think in this position, it's saying that there's going to be some issue surrounding expressing yourself. I do, and I think as lust is your strength card to deal with that problem. I think that sort of compounds the idea that it has something to do with self-expression, because I think lust is saying that you do have that you can that whatever you're passionate about is what you can use to connect with people better, and perhaps um, to express who you really are more easily. Um, that passion, that joie de vivre, is is most important here for helping you to overcome whatever problems she's representing here. Uh, Again, this is such a general reading for your year that I don't want to say that one of these challenges represents specifically one exact thing or another, and I want to read them as thematically as possible. Um, Trying to think of another way that she may be speaking to me. Um, Alternatively, you because it's such a positive card, we can read her as not necessarily being a problem, but then again, I'm not sure. I think overall, your strongest area thus far that we've drawn, excuse me, um, is your relationship with others, and I think that is a good sign. Um, that at least in that area, we seem very secure so far. Um, I think I want to come back to that in a minute. Your challenge with your career is the Three of Swords, and this indicates to me either that you will be having problems, excuse me, just there's a lot of anxiety surrounding that as well. You seem to be in for a bit of a challenging year, but I do think that there's a lot here that is helping you, and I think maybe even that's what the priestess is getting at to some extent, that the priest is acting as sort of a divine helper and representative of secret help and benevolence. Perhaps, you will find aid and find help throughout this year from other people and through your relationships with other people. And that this may be something that sparks you, because it's in that area of your life that we're seeing spark, that we're seeing energy, that we're seeing passion. And so that is a really good thing to counteract whatever rut you will be feeling in terms of your personal development. Um, but in terms of career, it's not so much something where you're not deriving pleasure from it. It goes a little deeper than that, because it could have been represented by the Five of Cups or something like that, or the Eight of Cups, and that's not what came up. The Three of Swords is a little deeper than that. It's more of this real sense of being disconnected from something really meaningful and life-giving. And again, that is echoed in all of these other areas of your life. Either you're going to start to feel in your career that you are not quite doing what it is you're meant to be doing, or you just feel like will start to feel like it's not really an expression of who you are. Again, I sense issues around that. That this year is going to be an important year for you to do some deeper self-discovery, and will be an opportunity at the same time for you to learn how to express that deeper inner nature to other people, and therefore help other people and derive deeper sustenance from that. And the help that you're going to get in terms of career and that lack of connection is represented by the Eight of Discs. And it's funny that we should get that as our final strength card, considering all that I've been saying about the Princess of Discs and everything that she's been saying to me. I think that those two really echo each other quite nicely. Um, while the Princess of Discs is telling you to embody that and to really tap into that energy as far as self-development, I think the Eight of Discs is telling you to be very patient in terms of your career, and to, as far as money is concerned, I think to just be very, to be conservative, and to try to be conscientious of how you're saving your money. The Eight of Discs is all about little by little, and growth over time, and how it's a very agricultural card. And while the Seven of Discs is all about the failure of the agricultural process, the Eight is a very positive agricultural card and an agricultural metaphor. For just steady, slow, patient growth over a period of time. So I think that this year is an opportunity for you to perhaps grow your finances a little bit, to also to save up a little bit, so that maybe you can then use whatever money you've saved to have a little bit more fun, and to lighten up a little bit. Because this is a very serious year for you in some ways, with the Nine of Swords as one of your helps, and as the Seven of Discs as your Seven of Cups, excuse me, as your challenge for yourself. but again, it's not all bad. And like any year, every year is full of goods and bads. And I think that as much negativity as you may seem to have, I think you have an equal amount of positive. And that's perfectly fair. And I think that's really good at the same time. Um, Now, for your overall advice card, we're going to draw the Five of Swords. Okay. Um, Five of Swords, I think, as your advice is, I think, a warning to not let yourself get in the way of yourself, um, more than it is a warning of impending doom. I really don't think we should look at it that way. And I do think that we can see it, though, as a bit of a warning that this is an interesting moment for you, that you can either continue to, or rather, you not necessarily continue, but you can look to satisfy yourself in sort of fleeting ways and not really get at the heart of the matter, which has to do with your own personal identity and how you see yourself. Um, or you can, again, deal with this sort of self growth and get a better hold over your either your emotional center or your personal life, and develop a greater sense of control over yourself, I think. Because I think if you allow yourself to get out of hand, it could potentially become a dangerous situation. Um, but at the same time, there's enough here that indicates that that you could make a turnaround over the course of the year. Now, the bottom card for the reading is the Nine of Discs, followed by the Tower, and the Nine of Wands, followed by the Three of Wands. So that kind of indicates to me, um, it's sort of what I was just saying. It's going to be a long year. It's not going to be without difficulties. And I think there are going to be some sudden changes for you, definitely some difficulties, but also a lot of good things and positive things happening and coming your way as well. And I think we have to remember, as I have been taught recently in my own life, that the Tower really does represent a good turnaround. It always comes across as a disaster at first, but really and truly, whatever small disasters or big disasters we go through, ultimately do turn around and get converted into goodness one way or another. So whatever hiccups and bumps you're going to go through this year, I think are intended to help you and are intended to be small wake-up calls and moments for you to come to know yourself better. We never stop growing. We never stop changing as people. And I think it's crucial to remember that. Um, so I hope that all makes sense. And I realize that it's probably a little vaguer than some of the other readings I've done for you, David. But excuse me. But I do think that it's important to read these as generally as possible. Um, and I do think that it's important to be positive about this and to have some confidence in yourself throughout this. And to keep in mind that I do think that other people are rooting for you throughout this coming year, that you will get some important help from others, and that your hope kind of lies in that, in working with others. And I don't know if that's something that you've been thinking about in terms of career choice, dealing with other people more. I'm not quite sure, because whatever it is in your career, you feel disconnected, and perhaps working more closely in terms of helping people, or being more uh, just more connected with people. I think that really is important for you this year. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't, as always, I'm happy to redo it, do something else for you. Um, or just give you a refund. Please let me know, and I wish you all the best for this year. All right, thank you as always, and thanks for your patience in waiting for the reading, and I appreciate it. All right, thanks, David. Take care of yourself. Bye.